So, the question for 2028 is Gavin Newsom racist or dyslexic, or what was he trying to say? Now, Newsom was in Atlanta, presumably to promote his memoir, which was published this month. Now, it's the memoir we get from all presidential hopefuls. Now, according to reports, Newsom's memoir talks about his lifelong struggle with dyslexia. Now, if he's elected, he would not be the first president with dyslexia. Now, some historians believe George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both had learning disabilities, which might have included dyslexia. It's also believed that Woodrow Wilson, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and JFK might have had dyslexia. Now, if they did, none of those great Americans used their learning difficulties as a crutch or played the victim. Now, what about Gavin Newsom? Is he playing the victim? Let's watch.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you, I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
Okay, so Newsom is talking about dyslexia, but that clip went viral for a different reason. Now, Nicki Minaj tweets, his way of bonding with black people is to tell them how stupid he is and that he can't read. He's not just telling them that they're all probably stupid and can't read. He's literally slowing down his speech to make them understand the words that are coming out of his mouth. Now, Newsom was on stage there with the mayor of Atlanta, Mayor Dickens, speaking to a packed house. Now, was the house mainly African American? Now, conservative Twitter thinks so. Here's another tweet with Newsom telling this guy, I'm dumb and illiterate just like you. Now, here's another one. Newsom with a boombox. Throwback pic from the 1970s, although Newsom took the SAT about a decade later. And here's Newsom as George Floyd. Now, Newsom got into it with Sean Hannity. Hannity tweeted, Gavin Newsom thinks a 960 SAT makes him like black Americans. Let that sink in. Newsom responded, you didn't give a S about the President of the United States of America posting an ape video of President Obama or calling African nations S-holes, but you're going to call me racist for talking about my lifelong struggle with dyslexia? Spare me your fake effing outrage, Sean. To which Hannity responded, now, you didn't give a S about being Joe Biden's public spokesperson, knowing Joe Biden partnered with the former Klansman, Robert Byrd, as they tried to prevent the integration of public schools. So spare me your effing fake, phony, feigned outrage. Then Mayor Dickens weighed in with a photo of the audience. He tweets, context matters more than a headline. Now, the audience to whom Gavin Newsom apparently was saying, I'm just like you, looks diverse or mostly white in the photo. Let's zoom in. And what about Mayor Dickens? Does he have a learning disability? Now, he has a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Georgia Tech and a master's in public administration from Georgia State University with no known learning disabilities. So who was Gavin Newsom talking to when he said, I'm like you? Now, the average SAT score for the 2024-2025 school year was between 1024 and 1030 out of 1600. So 1030 is slightly above the 50th percentile. Newsom's score would place him below that. Now, I'm wary of judging intelligence by just one indicator. In Newsom's case, we have his performance as California governor that we can use, and which should carry a lot more weight than his SAT score from when he was a teenager. Now, by all accounts, his performance as governor has been unimpressive. Now, since Newsom became governor in 2019, California has led the nation in out-migration to other states due to high taxes, housing costs, and the cost of living. Now, the out-migration has been offset principally by immigration and the birth rate. So the decrease in population hasn't been as drastic as it might have been. And in fairness to Newsom, the pandemic happened during his time as governor, so potentially the numbers are skewed. So the question remains, Gavin Newsom said, "I'm like you." Who is you? Now, regarding the 960 SAT, could be the bottom 50th percentile of test takers, which is a lot of test takers, especially throughout the years and not just the most recent school year, along with the voters who didn't take the SAT at all. So combined, that could be the majority of voters. Now, maybe Gavin Newsom is one of those savants with a very high math score but super low verbal, although he seems to speak very well. Regardless, he's speaking out now about his dyslexia in a manner we've not seen before in U.S. history. Now, we've had presidents with dyslexia, probably, but Newsom is making it part of his public persona in a way we've not seen before. Now, previously, it's been eyewitnesses around those presidents who were like, "Oh, he's a bad speller," etc. And using that evidence, the historians have drawn their conclusions. Now, Newsom got into it with Senator Ted Cruz, who might run for president in 2028 as well. If Cruz wins, he would be one of our smartest presidents ever, if not the smartest. Now, President Trump is vying with him for that title. President Trump always wanted to appoint Cruz to the U.S. Supreme Court, for example. Now, recently, Senator Cruz, known for being such a smarty, now, he called out Gavin Newsom for being historically illiterate, as in ignorant about history. Now, let's watch.
Just like AOC and Whitmer, Newsom is apparently thoroughly historically illiterate. He said, "We've never seen National Guards federalized in the states." I guess his history book does not discuss the civil rights movement. He's never heard of a president named Dwight D. Eisenhower. He's never heard of sending the National Guard into southern states when Democrats who refused to desegregate schools resisted. Eisenhower sent the National Guard in. The pattern is the same. In this instance, you have Democrats who are saying we refuse to comply with federal immigration law. Then you had, in the 50s and 60s, you had Democrats saying we refuse to comply with civil rights law. In both instances, it is lawless Democrats attacking law enforcement.
Okay, so Gavin Newsom was flat out wrong about the National Guard. Cruz called him out. So what does Newsom do? He tweets, and I quote, "Ted Cruz calling a dyslexic person illiterate is a new low, even for him." Now, Senator Cruz had to clarify his statement. Historical illiteracy. Now, this Newsom is a slick operator. In my view, he's used his disability to cover up his lack of knowledge about how the U.S. historically has used the National Guard to combat violations of civil rights. Now, Newsom has a reputation for slickness, and we're seeing it on display here. Now, could he be the next president? He's rallying Democrats around when all else fails, they blame Trump. Now, here's a clip of Newsom doing just that.
All the racist tropes he put out, President. This is the President of the United States of America. Call this guy out. Stop this timidity. Stop with the BS diplomacy. You're in the rearview mirror. The recklessness of our own actions. And we're all becoming Chamberlains in this space. We have a supine United States Congress, so we have to stand up. Corporate leaders have to stand up. People have to stand up.
And here's Newsom at the Munich Security Conference, making reference to Germany's history with their secret police. He compares them directly with ICE agents in the U.S. Let's watch.
But I want to remember all those images of masked men, the secret police, something familiar in Germany. Those first images came out of my state, militarizing the streets of my city. Masked men showing up, unaccountable, no ID.
Now, uncontrolled migration will collapse a nation, but the Democrats don't emphasize that. They don't even mention it. Now, remember when California nearly burned down last year because the highest income tax rate in America still wasn't high enough to keep the fire hydrants supplied with water. And there was the $25 billion to solve the homelessness crisis, which wasn't enough either. Now, even Barack Obama recently came out of retirement to criticize Gavin Newsom about the homelessness crisis in LA, which he called an atrocity. Now, he also called it a losing political strategy, and he criticized Newsom about uncontrolled migration. Now, in my view, dyslexia is the least of Gavin Newsom's problems. If he becomes president, it will be the least of all our problems. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.